Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and because March Madness is only 1 week away, we're going to have a completely college basketball episode. We're going to have Sebastian Jimenez and Nico Bosanakis from Greyhound men's basketball. We'll have Ayana McCurdy and Mimi Alman from Greyhound women's basketball. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound softball had their first home game of the season last Friday, and it was a successful one for Amanda Feefel and company as they beat Texas A&M Commerce 8-5. Did lose the second game of the doubleheader, came close against UT Tyler, but lost both of their games on Sunday. Greyhound baseball on Friday won 10-9 over University of Texas Permian Basin in extra innings. Won game one of the doubleheader on Saturday, 15-12, lost the second game 6-4, but won the getaway game by a score of 11-9 on Sunday. And Greyhound track and field, good luck to them as we've got a couple of individuals that are going to be competing in the indoor nationals. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring on our first guest right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring to the set of Sportslook two members of the Greyhound men's basketball team. We've got Sebastian Jimenez, we've got Nico Bosanakis, and guys, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you for having us.
Well, Sebastian, as it turns out, you actually knew your way to Greyhound Arena even before you became a student here.
I did. I live about an hour away from here, south, Tatum. Good old little city of Tatum, man. Had some good memories there playing basketball. I was fortunate enough to play in Greyhound Arena when I first got here. I actually played in the championship here at EPAC. Unfortunately, I didn't win, but it was a great experience, and I'm proud to be a Greyhound. I love it here, and looking forward to what's to come.
Absolutely, and of course, because I broadcast EPAC games on the radio, I obviously knew who you were.
Of course.
I can tell people you had a pretty good, the championship game was not your fault.
Well, thank you.
And Nico, as it turns out, you had probably not actually been to Greyhound Arena, but you knew somebody who had been at Greyhound Arena and had a pretty good career here.
Yes, sir. Stephen Hamrick was my high school coach at Colleyville Heritage High School, and he coached me all 4 years there, and he kind of taught me how to be a Greyhound. I got to talk to him, and I didn't realize how much of a legend he really was until I got here. I always knew he was a good player, but turns out he was really good. So it was pretty cool to play for him, and obviously to have that connection to Eastern New Mexico.
Well, Sebastian, we'll go back to you. And was basketball always your love growing up, or did you just gradually gravitate towards it as you got older?
Yes, I'd say it's always been my love. I've actually been playing since I was about 4 years old. I've had an older sister, actually, who my father paired with me when we were growing up on Little League travel teams. So we've actually played together since I've been 4, so I've loved the game since then.
And Nico, how about you? Was basketball always the first love?
Basketball was always the first love. I've been playing since I was 3 years old. Something I always grew up with. Growing up, I played football and basketball, but in high school, I knew I needed to focus on one, and basketball was my passion, so that's what ended up happening.
Nico, Sebastian, let's talk about the process that actually got you to Eastern. Obviously, for people that don't know your story, I do. You're a valedictorian of your class, so you could have gone a lot of different places. Why did you want to come here?
So basketball was originally something I didn't think I was done with right out of high school. I didn't have many offers coming out of high school, but I was fortunate enough to get something from Eastern, so that is why I chose Eastern.
And Nico will ask you the question, what was it that got you to Eastern New Mexico?
Really the coaches, getting to know Coach Vo and Coach Owen, and through the recruiting process, I could tell that they're stand-up guys that really wanted to win, and that's important to me, so I went with them.
Sebastian, obviously at the beginning of the season, we didn't really know what sort of a role you were going to have, and you played a little bit, but by December, you were getting more minutes. And what was it that got you the more PT, as we would say in basketball?
I'd say hard work. I mean, I really just kept my head down, and you know what they say, when you stay around in the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. So yeah, I just kept my head down. I worked hard, stayed true to my heart, and just kept moving and trusted coach, trusted the team, and just I lived with the results.
And Nico, same question for you. At the beginning of the season, you were just getting spot play, and you actually started some games. What was it that got you the more PT?
Really, I think just getting comfortable and confidence. Obviously, with Bash, hard work. I mean, we're guys that are in the gym every single day, trying to get better. It's really something we love. So I think that's kind of what propelled us into getting some more playing time down the stretch of the season.
Sebastian, let's talk about your relationship with Coach Owen. What, if you had to give him a brief testimonial, what would you say are the strengths and attributes of Coach Owen?
So our motto actually for our team is trust and toughness, and I feel like he really carries that along with him. We have a good relationship. We trust each other. So one way I look at it is trust each other to be tough and be tough enough to trust each other. So I mean, I'd say our relationship's pretty solid, and I look forward to continue to have that.
And Nico, I'll ask you the same question. What would you say about Coach Owen?
Yeah, no, I'd piggyback right off of that. He's somebody you can trust and go to. Anytime there's a problem or something going on, I feel comfortable enough to go to his office and talk to him, and that goes a long way with a coach. You don't realize it, but when you can go to talk to somebody, it's very important.
You know, it's funny, and I'm kind of going off script, but I read about a coach who will remain nameless that is now looking for a new position. And they said that he obviously was a really good coach, X's and O's, but he just didn't have the trust of his ball players.
Right. No, and that's important.
Well, Sebastian, let's go back and let's talk a little bit about you. Obviously, a great high school career. I mean, getting to play in an EPAC championship. I think in many ways that means even more to the local kids than winning a state championship because it's in front of everybody from the local area. So obviously you had game, as the expression goes. What's been the biggest adjustment going from being a star basketball player on the 1A level in New Mexico to being a college basketball player?
I think a lot of it has to do with athleticism, as far as speed of the game. I feel like my intelligence on the court has definitely not changed. I'm still smart. I'm one of the smartest players on the court for sure. I just say the athleticism has definitely changed to this level. It's definitely made me adjust, and I mean I'm gonna come back next year ready to play more and to play better.
And Nico, obviously for you, the situation may have been a little bit different because you went to a bigger school, played in Texas, which is like a whole different cosmos into itself when it comes to basketball. But what for you is the biggest adjustment?
Um, I'd probably say speed of the game too. It took some time to get used to. Obviously, the first 8 to 10 games, you're trying to get used to it, but once you get past that, it's pretty easy. And once you get comfortable and gain the trust of your coaches, teammates, all those sorts of things, it really becomes easy.
Sebastian, who was the player on the team that kind of took you under his wing and helped show you the ropes, not just in basketball, but in life on the college level?
I'd say, well, I can't say not, I can't not say Nico here, my roommate. I mean, we're every day. I mean, really, we've kind of built a bond, a best friend bond, just living together, living in the gym together. I mean, we're pretty much together anytime you can think of. So, going through a process of building something, I feel like has definitely brought us closer together. So I definitely say Nico.
Well, I would imagine the same answer would be a reverse. So I'll just ask you another question here, Nico. Looking at the season, you guys had some big wins, but a win may not have been the defining moment for you. It may have been a game where you were playing a really, really good team and you didn't win, but you came close and you gained the respect of that team. What was the high point for you season-wise?
Well, I think obviously it was an up and down season, and there's some learning things with the team and stuff like that. But I would say the Western New Mexico game to finish off the season, to finish strong on a high point, and to have the team do well, and to kind of have something to be happy about to finish the season, although we didn't reach our ultimate goal, was was pretty cool. So I would say that was probably the high point of our season.
And Sebastian, I'll ask you the same question. Looking at all the games that you played, from the exhibition game against the University of Arizona till that demanding and dominating win against Western New Mexico, what was the high point for you?
I'd like to back off Western New Mexico. I like that one as well, simply because our team just came together. We looked a lot different. We looked like we're ready to, start something new, start something better. Another high point for me was when I had my personal best game against USW at the Rock. I really got some confidence that game, and I really, I proved myself.
If people had forgotten that game, you scored 10 points, and you were a big reason why we had to come back in the second half against USW. Okay, Nico, let's put it on a personal level. What personally for you was the game that you will personally remember?
Obviously the Arizona game was super cool because that was our first game, and first college game is always pretty cool. But I would definitely have to say the Western New Mexico game. That was kind of a culmination of hard work. I felt like it kind of came together for me that game, and I was able to perform at a higher level than I had been, and I would say that game.
Sebastian, looking at the team that you guys had, who was the guy that really was the team that didn't necessarily have to be the vocal team leader, but maybe lead by example? Who was the guy that you looked at and said, yeah, that's the guy that really drives our program?
Apart from us, I'd say maybe two senior. I'd say we had about three, pretty solid other guys apart from us too. I'd like to name Yos, Garrett, Sherrod, and Contrell, KP.
Very good. And Nico, I'll ask you the same question. Who are the guys that you looked at and said, yeah, they're definitely guys to emulate?
I would definitely agree with Bash with those three. I would include Bash right in that, and I would throw in Jared Perry in that as well.
Sebastian, obviously you are a student athlete. We've already established the fact you're a pretty smart guy because you're the class valedictorian. What are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in business. I'm majoring in business with an emphasis in marketing. I plan to, outside of basketball, I plan to run a business, be a CEO of a business at some point in my life.
And do you want to stay in New Mexico, or are you kind of keeping your options open?
I'm keeping my options open for sure.
And Nico, I can speak directly to your scholarly ability because you took my History 1110 class, so I obviously know you're a pretty smart guy. What are you majoring in?
I'm doing university studies with a focus on coaching and health. I think coaching is pretty cool just because you get to teach the next generation, and obviously health is very important and something I'm very interested in.
So if you had your druthers, would you like to be like Stephen Hamrick and become a high school coach, or would you rather be like Brent Owen and become a college coach?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I want to do, whether it's coaching or going into business or whatever that may be. I'm kind of keeping my options open and taking it a day at a time.
Well, guys, and I can say it in all sincerity, I really appreciated watching you guys because I saw your playing time at the beginning of the season. I saw your playing time at the end of the season, and you guys definitely deserve your PT at the end. So have a great off season, and we'll see you back at Greyhound Arena in November.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Doc.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and we'll bring in two young ladies from Greyhound women's basketball right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and an honor to bring to the set of Sportslook two standout basketball players from the Greyhound women's basketball squad. We've got Ayanna McCurdy, we've got Mimi Alman, and ladies, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, Ayanna, we'll start out with you. Where are you from, and what was the process that got you to the Eastern basketball squad?
Well, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, born and raised. Not from West Philly like Will Smith. A lot of people like to say that. Yeah, so I was in a process of looking for a school to go to for my last year. I knew I had one more year to play basketball. And I was actually funny. I was going to go to a school in Chicago, and that fell through. And literally that same day, Coach Med called me and said, hey, I have a spot for you, and we'd love to have you. And I just took a step out on faith and just said, I'll go. So that's how I got here.
And originally you were at Southeast Missouri State. What was it that got you there?
I was getting recruited by Coach Patterson when she was at Ball State, and then she got the head coaching job at SEMO, and that's when I got there. So I was there for 4 years and then came here.
Very good. Mimi will ask you the same question. Where are you from originally, and what got you to Eastern New Mexico?
Wow. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And how did I get here? Oh, okay. I was released from Louisiana Tech, and Coach Pratt called me. It was a very scary process to be like, where's Portales? Where is ENMU? What is this town like? And I'm so glad I came here because these people are better than any people I've ever met in my life. So yeah, that's how I got.
I like hearing that because I've lived here for 27 years. This is my home. But,
Yes.
Ayanna, we'll go back and we'll talk to you. What was the process of you? You obviously had to sell yourself to Coach De Los Reyes, but Coach De Los Reyes had to sell you on the prospects of what she was going to do with basketball. What was that process like?
Well, really, we had 2 long conversations over the phone. The first one was just really introduction. She gave me information about the school. And the first thing for me with any school I was looking at is if they had my major, which is my MBA. So I had already started at SEMO, so I wanted somebody who could take some of my credits from there. So that was one of the main factors in me coming here was that they did take my credits. So that was one of the biggest things because even though we play basketball, education is just as important, and what we do after basketball is just as important. So I didn't want to come somewhere where I'm not going to have any degree or anything. So that was one of the main selling points for me.
Well, Mimi will ask you the same. And actually, for you, it was a little different because it was actually Coach Prock that was the first point of contact, and then Coach Prock. And by the way, we'll congratulate Coach Prock, WT women. They won the Lone Star Conference, so yeah, give him and his ladies a lot of props. But then you find out that Megan De Los Reyes is going to be the coach. So what was the thought process there that said, okay, I got recruited by one coach, but this new coach sounds promising. I'll give her a try.
I really feel like it had a lot to do with faith. And then my conversations with Coach Meg, like, something about her just drew me to her. So I just knew I could trust her. And I didn't want to leave this school. And I didn't want to leave this town. So that's what ultimately kept me here.
Very good. Well, you obviously got off to a great start. I don't know if people can remember all the way back, but you won your first 4 games of the season after you got done playing some really tough exhibition games. Ayanna, at what point had you realized that the team was going to be a pretty good one?
Honestly, I knew from the first day I came here and we had pickup. And because I never met anybody from the team, all I knew was Coach Meg off of 2 phone calls. So I just came and I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into. But after we played pickup, I was like, this team is very talented. Like all around, everybody, every position, like this team could be really good. So at that moment, that's when I knew we had a lot of potential to do great things this season.
Mimi, I'll ask you the same question. At what point did you recognize how that? And we'll go back in case people have forgotten. You were predicted to finish dead last in the Lone Star Conference. The 18 teams that play women's basketball, you were predicted to finish 18th, and you finished just a little bit higher than that, and proved some people wrong. When was it, Mimi, that you realized that you were going to be better than predicted?
I'm gonna piggyback off Yanni because pickup definitely like showed all of our talent and our practices. Like we call ourselves dogs. We all brought that dog mentality every single day. And after, like you said, those hard exhibitions that we lost, we knew we didn't want to lose like that again. So that was like the battery in our backs.
Well, Ayanna, obviously you and Mimi came with very impressive credentials. So basketball-wise, you didn't really need to make much of an adjustment. But life at a new school, life in a new town, who was the player on the team that really kind of took you under her wing and said, here's how things really work here?
For me, I would say Mimi. She's like my dog. Like everything I needed, I go to her, I call her, she gets me together. So yeah, I would say it would be her.
And Mimi, I'll ask you the question. Who was your point of contact and your good introductory person?
Wow. I'm gonna just say the whole team. Like the team with Prague, and this year it seemed like everybody just took me under their wings and I took them under mine. Yeah.
And I'm really not surprised to hear that because I had the privilege of broadcasting virtually all of your games. I missed one game against Lower Christian because I teach class and got to get paid a little more to do that. But you ladies were nice enough after game. Every single one of you would come over and you'd say, "Doc, thanks for me." And it really seemed like you were a very cohesive unit.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And we enjoyed you coming to all the
We
games.
appreciate it.
Well, you ladies put on a show, and that last 3-point shot had dropped at Cameron. We may be talking about you guys winning a conference championship. So that leads me nicely into the next question I wanted to ask you. Looking back at the season and all the games that you played, what game was the best game? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a game you won. It might have been a game that you lost, but lost to a really good team and really proved a point. So, looking back at all of the games you played this year, what was the most impressive game from a team standpoint?
From the team standpoint, I would say the first time we played Cameron. That game, and I even said it to the team in the locker room after we lost. I said that was the most locked in game we've ever had, where every single player on the team and on the bench was so locked in. Like everybody. I think Nate started out 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
She started out with 2 threes.
Yep.
And after that, I was like, this is gonna be this is the game. Like that was one of the best and most locked in games that our team has ever had. And I actually enjoyed playing the game. Even after losing, I was like, this is what our team looks like. Like this is a good thing. So
Maybe I'll ask you the same question. From a team standpoint, what is the game that really stands out?
I'm gonna say Cameron as well, and I'm gonna say both times, because for me the first game was kind of rocky, coming back off an injury or whatever, but I feel like we were all there. Everybody was locked in, all 12, 11 of us. We were all there. The bench was loud. Everybody was just engaged, and I don't know. I wish we would have won.
we competed so
We
that
did.
level of competitiveness was
We were all
at the
locked in.
top.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you lose 2 games by a total of 4 points. It doesn't get much closer than that. Well, Anna, let's talk about it on a personal level. And you're a team ball player. Mimi's a team ball player, and so you're more concerned with the team than individuality. But if you had to look back and say the one game that you played for Eastern that you personally took the most satisfaction, what personally was the most satisfying?
Is it when we played Angelo? Is that when I had 16 rebounds?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good team. And getting
Yeah.
16 boards against them was pretty impressive. Mimi, I'll ask you, what was the game that you're going to take away and say that was personally for you the game that you'll remember the longest?
I'm gonna say the second time we played Cameron, I was at my healthiest, which I felt, and I had my record, whatever,
She had
high
23
points and rebounds. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and clearly they couldn't stop you. No matter who they put on you in the post, they literally could not stop you.
Yeah.
And Ayanna, based on your success, everybody in the building knew your capability, and they were always sticking their toughest defensive player on you. You were still able to get your points.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's set by the fact you've got to get the ball in a certain position. People have to set picks for you. People have to know when to clear out.
Right.
And so I think both you ladies would say, yeah, you had individual efforts, but it was a team effort.
It definitely
Yes.
was.
Well, you are both student athletes. You're obviously really good athletes. Both of you ladies scored in the 20s against Cameron in that last game of the season. But you're also students. And Ayanna, what are you majoring in?
Business administration. So I'm studying to get my master's. So I think I have after this semester, I have 3 credits left, and then I'll be done.
And what's in the future? What do you hope to do with your degree?
A lot of things. I'm actually into a lot of different things. I'm a musician, so I want to get into that. I also want to own a couple of real estate properties, so I also want to do that. I also still want to play overseas too, so it's a lot that I can do with that.
Well, I have every confidence that you'll be able to do what you set your mind to. And Mimi, let's ask you, what are you majoring in?
My major is sociology.
And what do you hope to do with that?
Well, I want to get my master's and become a physician's assistant and like specialize in like emergency medicine. So yeah, that's what I want to do.
And obviously, we wish that we'd had you ladies for a longer period of time, but we're just happy we got you for 1 year. But Ayana, what would you say to the people watching the show, the people that watch you for a year?
Uh, I don't know. I guess just thanks for the support and everything. Coming here was a big step out on faith, like I said before, and I would do it again if I had the chance. So.
Mimi, I'll ask you the same question. What would you say to the people that came out and watched play this year?
It makes me want to cry. I would say thank you for all the love and the support, all the kids that knew my name, scream my name, I'm sorry. All the parents who loved me and hugged me that I didn't even know, who wanted to at least buy me groceries. Thank you, even though I didn't take you up on that offer or whatever. I don't know. Portalis just feel like love. So I would say thank you to everybody.
And we say thank you right back in return. Well, ladies, thanks so much for being my guests.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. As I mentioned back in my introduction, it's almost time for March Madness, and 68 teams will be competing for a national championship. Why 68 teams in basketball when only 4 get to play in the playoffs in college football? It's because of something that happened 50 years ago. In 1972, the University of Southern California had their best team ever. They were ranked number 2 in the nation, and they finished up the regular season an incredible 28-2 and didn't go to the NCAA playoffs. And you're saying, were they on probation? No, they had a pristine, clean program. So how do you go 28-2 and not make it to the playoffs? Well, because their only 2 losses that year were to UCLA, which of course plays in the same conference. That made UCLA the conference champs. And back in those days, only 1 team went to the big dance from each conference. So if you wonder why a team like the 7th seed in the Big Ten gets to play in the tournament, you can either blame or thank USC. Well, that is going to finish up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Nico Bosanakis and Sebastian Jimenez from Greyhound Men's Basketball. I'd like to thank Ayana McCurdy and Mimi Amman from Greyhound Women's Basketball. Had a new floor director, Mr. Nick, doing a great job for me tonight. So for those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.